Mine the ASIC. We're gonna have to have a word. I don't know what the hell that was, but it crashed my computer. God damn it. Welcome back to the daily grind. I apologize. I don't know what the hell just happened, but StreamYards or Streamlabs just like died, and I literally couldn't bring it back. I had to like Control Alt delete the shit. Anyways, all right. Yep. Mine the ASIC took me out this morning. Let's get back into this, guys. Appreciate you all for coming back. I apologize. I don't know what the hell just happened, but I'm not clicking on anything anymore. All right, let me pop out this chat actually so I can see what the hell you guys are saying. All right, I don't know where I died, but I froze in the most awkward position ever. I was in the middle of laughing and trying to read the chat. I think I was going after the L7 maybe, I don't know. Anyways, F this. All right, so we're gonna be talking about, let's check out these Kaspa miners, right? So the Kaspa miners have been killing it. I dropped a video yesterday afternoon, and yeah, let's see over here on, it's actually not even on Mine the ASIC yet, it's on hashrate.no. actually, this SDR coin. Look at the profits on this IB-Link BMKS Max. $191 a day on this thing versus 109. That's $80 more. Is that not insane? I'm gonna keep checking my screen to make sure things didn't fail on me again. Guys, that like button, appreciate you for coming back. I apologize, I know that was a pain in the ass, but look at this SDR coin. I think it's Cedra or Cedera. I think it's Cedra. I think it's how you say it. I don't know. If I'm saying it wrong, please let me know. But anyways, this thing, I mean, guys, it's killing it. It really is killing it. My buddy has a KS3M. He has 3 of them. He made $400 overnight. Like, he was like, it's crazy. I can't believe how much that thing friggin' makes. So I don't know, you guys teach his own, do what you will, but I would recommend mining this directly to Trade Ogre. You can either hold it if you want or sell it or whatever, but you know what, can I go to Trade Ogre on this? Let me see. I'm not logged in. I don't want to be logged in. Let me just, give me 1 second, guys. Hold on. All right, this is just normal-ish. Let's see. Oh, where is it? SDR. There we go. Look at that. All right, so it came out, just want to kind of go over this a little bit, right? So it came out up here at 2 cents, 2.5 cents basically. It dumped down, right? And now it's climbing back up, and I guess from what I've heard, somebody said Kaspa when it started came out exactly like this. I don't know how true that is. I think I'm gonna make a video about this in a few. I'm gonna go check Kaspa's price history and all that and kind of try to put something together, but I don't know, man. If it has any sort of legs like Kaspa did, we're gonna get a boner candle out of this thing. It's just, I don't know, that's my opinion. I don't really care about it. At the end of the day, it's a shit coin. Be careful, don't download anything off the site. Just, I want to make sure everybody knows that I have no affiliation with this coin at all, but you can't deny the profitability. It's just, it's there, plain as day. It's literally $80 more. So you guys do what you will. All right, let's check out GPUs. What is the top coin over here on the market today? We have the RTX 4090 mining lithium and hyper and lithium. Then we have Pirate on the top of the charts, Ergo and Radiant for some of these cards. What is this? NIR. What is that? Nirmata? Oh, I saw this before. Nirmata. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I might be saying that wrong. Who knows? Anyways, next on the top of the charts. So a little bit of a plethora of coins today. Conflux and Radiant. We have Chlor. Chlor's actually been killing it. How's Chlor doing actually? Let's check out the price of that. Oh boy, what did I just do? You know what? It might be because I have Discord open. That's probably why. Discord always screws up my computer every single time, and I didn't realize it was open. Let's see a Chlor. I apologize again, guys, for the crashed stream. 25 cents. Look at this. So let's see, 7-day. Wow, Chlor's doing pretty good. Chlor is doing pretty good. 25 cents. Damn. Hadouken, my man DJ Mine's been killing it. And if you guys didn't see their debate last night, Mr. Hawk Crypto Mining and DJ Mines, oh my god, it was epic. It was great. I came in at like the wrong moment and they were just going at each other. it was fantastic. Anyways, go check out DJ Mines. He's a good YouTuber, so is Mr. Hawk Crypto Mining. Perfect cup and handle for me. Hell yeah, DJ, my man. Appreciate you, buddy. If you guys are interested in Tangent, please hold your own crypto. It's $50 for this set of cards. Code CCXD, 10% off. Not trying to shill, but seriously, it's worth it. A lot of people were asking us about it yesterday, so go check it out if you will. All right, so let's get into the news segment of things. $1,000 price target for Nvidia. it will prove to be conservative, says Deepwater's Gene Munster. Let's see what he's got to say over here about the NVIDIA earnings, and then we'll move on to the rest of the crypto news. Guys, that like button, appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
Did NVIDIA justify the rally we've seen in these stocks and the broad market? Let's bring in Deepwater Asset Management's Gene Munster, get some thoughts. Gene, a lot of four-digit targets around today. You got any problem with that?
I'm good with that, Carl. I think that we're going to see in excess of 1,000, probably a year, 2 years out here. But when I think about those price targets, I think it's important just to quickly step back and think about NVIDIA's business before we get too carried away. It's a boom and bust business. In the 3 quarters prior to this AI liftoff, the business was down on average 17% a quarter. That wasn't that long ago. The 3 quarters since then, of course, it's up 200% on average, which really the central question about those price targets comes down to what is NVIDIA's underlying growth? And I think the answer to that question is comes to what do you think the outlook for AI is going to be? And I started my comments on a sober point related to this boom and bust, this scarring effect that their businesses had on investors over the past 5 years. But my view forward is that those price targets are probably going to ultimately $1,000 plus prove to be conservative, because AI is just that big of a deal. The one nugget from NVIDIA's call last night, inference, is 40% of the GPU usage. That means that AI is actually being used. This is not hyperscalers building out infrastructure, crossing their fingers that something is going to come. We're already seeing adoption just a year into this, and we're at the very beginning. NVIDIA is going to benefit for this for a long time.
Is anybody investing in NVIDIA, the actual stock? Let us know in the chat.
Where does that leave those, though, who are still on the lookout for hyperscaler digestion, shorter lead times, suggesting an eventual inventory correction, maybe one day?
So what we saw with analyst estimates today, on average, they went up by about 20%. So actually the valuation went down a little bit. But to answer that question is that most of the commentary from the sell side and investors has been that we're just pushing out this inevitable correction, this bust moment that, of course, NVIDIA is going to have. It just can't be that good. And again, so to answer your question is most people have pushed the bust out to calendar 26. They think it's going to grow around 20% in calendar 25 and then 26 be a down year. I'll take the over on that. I think this is going to grow 15% or better. And it's hard to imagine that we're just at the start of everything that is going to be this paradigm shift. But I do believe that. And I don't think the bust is going to come in 26. I think this can last. They're going to have a bust, but I think it's probably 3 to 5 years from now. The bust is going to be epic when it happens, but I think there's plenty of room of upside until we get there.
Real quick, DJ in the chat said, y'all see Trump says he isn't against Bitcoin. He didn't say he is pro-Bitcoin, but he doesn't care either way. And then he said, I watched the full video. He didn't say he is pro-BTC, just that he doesn't mind it. He also said he prefers the dollar. Yeah, he's came out and said that a few times, but that's awesome. At least, you know, it'll be nice to see if we can get another president that will, you know, be not really, I wouldn't say pro Bitcoin, but not against it. That's, you know, kind of what you want. You want some sort of bias approach to it, right? And then Ted said, Tom's Hardware reported yesterday that NVIDIA said that the 5000 series GPUs will be limited due to not being able to make enough, so scalpers are foaming at the mouth. Damn, that's crazy.
Hey, Gene, you know, kudos
Excited.
to you. You've been
actually,
all over
I wonder when those are going to come out. Did they have any projected date for the 5000 series? Do you guys know?
steadfast on it. But, you know, you just said something that's really interesting. And, you know, as I talk to other analysts and other folks who are, you know, tracking the Gen AI space very closely, you know, we've gotten towards this inference phase. You just talked about how much, you know, NVIDIA is speaking to the usage right now. But doesn't that take much lower compute, right? So if you think of the first phase as a lot of these, you know, players in the space were training these models, the more inference we get, isn't it likely to demand less compute? And therefore, once we see better supply-demand dynamics, if there is a drop-off in demand, we might have that glut that you're talking about, and that's potentially the sort of bust.
So end of year for the 5000 series cards. And Game with Smokey Dan said he is, however, fully against CBDCs. Yeah, that'd be awesome, actually, because we need somebody that's against those in office.
The short answer is yes, it would cause that.
And for the record, I don't care either way who wins. I don't vote, so whatever.
if you think these waves, we're just going to have one wave, an infrastructure wave, the hyperscaler wave, the AI startup wave that Jensen talks about. If this is the wave of AI, we're a quarter of the way through it, but we are going to have that less need for the GPUs because, like you said, inference requires less compute. If you believe that there's going to be an application wave, which is going to need more building around this and also more GPUs for inference, and what Jensen talks about, this heavy industry wave, I don't fully get this one, but he says that heavy industry is the largest opportunity. This is like big industry using generative AI. And the last, of course, is sovereign AI, which would be countries developing their own AI. If you believe that there are these 4 waves to it, then you're going to see this cycle continue where each wave starts to ramp. You're going to have a build out on infrastructure and then a dip down for inference, to your point, and then another build up. And so that's why this comes down to just a philosophical question that investors need to ask themselves. How much do you believe in AI? I think AI is a 99 out of 100. Electricity is 100. The internet is 50. Mobile is 25. I think this is, we're just going to get going. That doesn't mean it's up and to the right for the next 3 years. There's going to be ups and downs in the market, but I think that this is that big of a structural change, and NVIDIA is going to benefit from that.
In terms of metrics, there's a bit of a paradox here, Gene. And again, congratulations, because you've been on this. On one side, price, earnings, and look at the PE multiple at 31 times. It's more than reasonable, probably cheap.
I'm such a dick. Every time I see this guy, I think, did you guys ever see that movie Rio? I have 2 kids, so like, it's a freaking white, like, toucan bird. Like, I don't even know. This guy reminds me of that bird so bad.
Question. The flip side of that coin is current valuation is trading 19 times-ish revenue. So something's got to give. I understand it because they have 77% margins, but one of 2 things is going to happen, I think. Either margins are going to contract in a meaningful way, which is going to ratchet down EPS, or you're not going to see, I don't think, maybe the growth in terms of revenue. What am I looking at incorrectly or correctly? Or how long can this last, I guess?
You're looking at it exactly like you should look at it. And the question comes down to this duration of growth. And ultimately, that event is going to happen. There's going to be a dark day when it comes to NVIDIA investing. I think it's 3 to 5 years out there. But what you just described is exactly what's going to happen. There's going to be a glut of inventory at a certain point. Pricing is going to go down. It will get hit, double hit. We're going to be back to all this scar tissue that investors have had. I don't think we're near that point. I know it sounds like I'm talking out of both sides, but I think we still got a way to go.
Shout out to CNBC for that, and shout out to NVIDIA for doing amazing. And yes, Mr. Pile Mines Crypto, congrats on the donation last night. That was insane. All right, we have Crypto World, CNBC Television. Why Ether is outperforming Bitcoin by nearly 10% so far this year. Again, I think it's as it comes with the hype of the ETF that is proposed, right? There's a few actual proposals for the ETF to come to fruition, so we're going to see what happens with that. But let's see what Crypto World, CNBC Television's going to say.
Today, Ether inches closer to the $3,000 level after reaching its year-to-date high yesterday. Digital Currency Group objects to a proposed deal between its subsidiary Genesis and the New York State Attorney General. And Core DAO contributor Rich Rines explains why he thinks 2024 will be a big year for crypto.
Real quick, PowerMind said, kidding, also 2 cents Sia coin, I called it. A blind squirrel finds an acorn every once in a while.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Jordan Smith. Crypto prices in the green today. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin held steady above $51,000. Ether increased more than 1.2%, trading close to $3,000. And Solana traded pretty flat at 104.
Power Minds, I'm just giving you shit. I love you, buddy.
All right, let's talk about the top stories. Digital Currency Group has doubts about a deal between its subsidiary, Genesis, and the New York State Attorney General. Back on February 8th, Genesis filed a proposal in bankruptcy court to settle the New York AG's claims that the crypto lender defrauded investors. That settlement needs to be approved by the court, but it would see the AG's office paid only after payments were made to customers. As part of the deal, Genesis agreed to stop conducting business in New York. Genesis would pay customers the value of
everything has to stop business in New York.
Their funds at the time of the bankruptcy filing. And if you remember, crypto prices were much lower in January 2023 when Genesis filed for bankruptcy protection. After that repayment, the remaining assets would be turned over to the AG, who would distribute that money back to unsecured creditors, meaning customers would get more money. Well, yesterday, Digital Currency Group objected to that settlement proposal in a new filing, arguing the deal would take value from lower classes of creditors and redistribute them to preferred ones. The company argued that Genesis had given away the entire residual value of its estate to the New York AG. Earlier this month, DCG also objected to an amended bankruptcy plan from Genesis, arguing it would overpay a certain class of creditors. Next, a Texas crypto company and an industry group are suing the SEC, claiming it overstepped its authority in regulating crypto. The company, called Legilex, plans to launch a crypto platform called Legit Exchange, but wants to list assets the SEC has deemed securities. Well, the company launched a lawsuit with the Crypto Freedom Alliance of Texas to challenge the SEC's jurisdiction.
Oh, shit.
In the claim, the two groups say the SEC lacks legal authority to regulate most digital assets, and that commissioners themselves had said Congress hasn't granted the authority to the agency to do so. Now, one thing to note about Legilex, it's a relatively new company with no product yet. Its first post on X is only from a week ago, on February 15th, and its domain, legit.exchange, it's registered in Iceland. But the Crypto Freedom Alliance of Texas launched last year and has members from places like Andreessen Horowitz, Bain Capital's crypto unit, Blockchain Capital, and more. Now, we reached out to the SEC, Legilex, and the Crypto Freedom Alliance of Texas, but didn't hear back right away.
Real quick, 10 cents, 10 to 20 cents, see a coin. That's what Panda said. I love Panda to death. I love him to death. But guys, all right, look. Oh, didn't mean to hit that. Damn it. Meant to hit this. Max, I just showed this. I don't know if you were here, Power Minds, but look at this. All right, so its all-time high ever was 9 cents about 6 years ago. You think it's gonna double 9 cents? You think it's gonna double? Look at this trend. It's a downtrend. Honestly, it's probably peaked right now. It's probably the peak of that coin, to be honest, but I guess we'll have to see. Again, I love Panda, but hell no.
All right, back to markets for our main story, with Bitcoin holding steady above $51,000 and Ether crossing the $3,000 mark this week for the first time since April of 2022. Crypto World's Talia Kaplan spoke with Core DAO contributor Rich Rines about what's driving the recent rally, and he also weighs in on the potential impact of the upcoming Bitcoin halving event on miners.
I wonder if he talks about the ETF.
So Bitcoin's trading above $51,800 as of around 11:30 this morning, with the cryptocurrency hitting a year-to-date high of just under $53,000. That's according to Coinmetrics. Meanwhile, Ether crossed above $3,000 earlier this week for the first time since April of 2022, hitting a year-to-date high of $3,032 yesterday. Now, Bitcoin is up more than 21% so far this year, and Ether is up even more. So I'm wondering, what do you think is driving crypto prices right now? And why do you think Ether is outperforming Bitcoin so far this year? Do you think the expectation that spot Ether ETFs will likely win approval now that spot Bitcoin ETFs are trading here in the US is part of the equation?
So I do think the ETF narrative in Ethereum is what's driving the price appreciation today. And if you look at, back year, we go to, 2023, Bitcoin's trading at, 15,000, in early January. Now it's, 51.8, as you mentioned earlier. And a lot of that has been driven by this institutionalization of the asset class and that continual bid that we're seeing from, institutions all around. And there's really no signs of that slowing down. I think there's already been 5 billion plus of net inflows since these, spot ETFs first got approved, which has blown away even, the most bullish analyst expectations. There's been a, transposition of that into Ethereum, I think, as kind of a forward-looking trade.
So do you think the SEC will approve spot Ether ETFs now that spot Bitcoin ETFs are live in the US? I mean, the agency is due to give decisions on those applications beginning in May. BlackRock, Invesco, ARK, and Van Eck are among the firms in line for approval, as well as Grayscale, which is seeking to convert its existing Ethereum trust into an ETF. So what do you think will happen there?
So this might be an unpopular opinion at the moment, but I actually don't think we're going to see it in April or May of this year. But I do think potentially later this year. I think the SEC is a established regulatory body that's going to want data points here, and I think we haven't seen enough in the Bitcoin spot ETF market to get enough of a go forward read there. Ethereum is a more complex asset. There's more pieces there under the hood. Plus, there's been a very different relationship between the SEC and Ethereum, I think, to put that politically over the years.
So all 10 of the spot Bitcoin ETFs that are trading in the US are in the green, with most of them climbing around 10% since launching on January 11th. On top of that, as you mentioned, they continue to see strong inflows. So what do you think about these numbers, and how do you think the approval of these investment vehicles impacted crypto sentiment as a whole?
So the approval of the spot ETFs were just, flat out massive. One, there's just the accessibility piece where it's now the largest asset managers in the world can get access to the next best thing to spot Bitcoin for the first time.
Real quick, Mr. Rob Mines in the chat. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for being a member for 4 months. Sorry I missed that. Friday equal Hodl Gang song. Of course. Of course.
But then also Bitcoin
Appreciate
now
you,
has
buddy.
the legitimacy of being an exchange traded product for the first time in a way that many thought would never be possible. I remember thinking the ETF was going to get approved in 2018. Been wrong so many times as the years have gone on. But I think this is really the next wave of crypto adoption. And I think when we think about the inflows, so many of the largest, RIAs, institutional asset managers haven't even been fully putting their sales teams to work yet. This is still early. Folks want data points. There's all the different people that haven't, maybe pulled the trigger on their retirement accounts yet. So
That's the biggest catalyst here, I think. Going to be the major push, right? Once all of these other financial institutions come in, because there's still a shit ton on the sidelines that aren't even allocating anything into these ETFs yet, right? So I guess we'll have to see where that goes. And Mr. Luke, appreciate you for the $2 super chat. Cheers, effer. Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you.
As we look into the halvening and some of these other catalysts, I think we're going to see continual, bid from all these different participants, and it's really, something to be seen.
Now you mentioned,
Yeah, real quick. Andrew Masada also said Nvidia over $800 now. It will get to $1,000 before long. And you know what? I think it will get over 1,000 for sure. Somebody called 3,000 yesterday, actually, on the news. He said he wouldn't be shocked if it got 3,000, obviously within a couple of years or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a good play, I think, to get into Nvidia stock, especially now with the whole AI trend coming. Just hold on to it. And if it goes down, oh well, buy more, or just wait. All right, don't sell for a loss. Don't panic. It just that is what gets you. The panic always sets in.
mentioned the Bitcoin halving, so let's focus on that. It's set to take place in a couple of months. So what do you think the impact will be on prices and on miners? Focusing on price first, historically, these events have been positive for the price of Bitcoin. So what do you think are the factors contributing to the positive price movement in that regard?
Oh, DJ Mine says it's very possible. It's been $1,000 before. They just stock split a lot. Interesting.
So the halving has traditionally been very bullish for Bitcoin, and I think we'll continue to see that this cycle as well. Although with the longer term approach of future halvings, with the ETF, et cetera, we should see a dampening of volatility. But at least now we're actually going into a this time is different with the halving, where you actually have tons of bid on the ETF, which in theory could be even more of a catalyst for continued price appreciation going into the halving. I think at the beginning of this year, many folks thought that 2024 would actually be a period of more or less consolidation in Bitcoin, but it seems like it might actually be an expansion cycle and is potentially going to be leading the quote unquote bull run for crypto over this next cycle. And I think when it comes to the miners, you're seeing a little bit more potentially speculative behavior than we've seen in other cycles, where there's always been that question of, do you invest in more rigs or do you just hold spot Bitcoin, where you've got the potential to have the Bitcoin price appreciation make up for that delta. So it's been really interesting.
Spot Bitcoin as in actual Bitcoin, is that what he means? Because if you're a miner, you ain't holding spot Bitcoin, you're holding Bitcoin, period.
Interesting to watch, but I do think this halving is different, and it's going to be very interesting, come April of this year, what the market does.
What else are you focused on in 2024, especially as a builder?
So in 2024, I think one of the most popular narratives that we're seeing is scaling Bitcoin. I think we've seen, as we do every halving cycle, Bitcoin comes back into vogue a little bit and becomes this shelling point for people both inside and outside of crypto. But now the focus isn't just on Bitcoin, the base layer asset. It's all about scaling Bitcoin to try to unlock additional utility for Bitcoin holders. Bitcoin holders today have been, just limited to digital gold, which in itself is a fine use case. However, so many of these Bitcoin holders want more, whether it's non-custodial Bitcoin staking or if it's full Bitcoin DeFi. And it's solutions like core stacks, et cetera, that are all trying to offer these to their various constituents. And you might say, hey, why now? Well, one, we're seeing this, this outsized demand for, again, NFTs and tokens, things like that on top of Bitcoin. But also Bitcoin now is $1 trillion asset class once again. And I think if we look into the further evolution of this cycle, it's probably several trillion. And with these Bitcoin scaling solutions, if they can capture even just a fraction of the total Bitcoin that's out there, you're talking about another $1 trillion+ coming into DeFi protocols as a whole. And some of these scaling solutions will get quite large. So I think Bitcoin is popular again with both users, builders, and the miners as well are kind of coming back into center stage once again, which drives a lot of media cycle and interest.
All right. Shout out to Crypto World, CNBC for that. All right, guys, you ready for it? The biggest Bitcoin bull run in history has begun. This is the video I want to watch today. This is crypto investing expert Mark Yusko, actually on Altcoin Daily's channel. Hit that like button, guys. Appreciate you. I got to make sure I hit it on all those. All right. Yeah, we're going to listen to him. I don't know if I'm going to listen to the entire thing. It's 53 minutes long. I am going to bump this up, though, to 1.25. So let's get into it.
I'll make a big statement. I believe this year, in 2024, which, by the way, is the first year.
And this guy's been in the space for quite some time, and he's very educated. So pay attention.
Of this epic, the blockchain era, the truth net, as I call it, I believe more money will be converted from fiat to Bitcoin than the previous 15 years of Bitcoin's existence.
Today, I sit down with Mark Yusko.
This is too fast right now. I'll bump it up in a minute.
Founder of Morgan Creek Capital Management.
And it's because the demand isn't going away.
To talk the potential of Bitcoin in 2024.
People forget this, right? We went from 10,000 to 60,000 in about 4 months.
Also, what could go wrong?
Is that all it was? 4 months? Damn.
Is everybody too bullish? There's a saying, if everybody's thinking the same thing, then somebody's not thinking. Is everybody too bullish? When to take profits? Best time to sell? What is your profit-taking strategy? And even if it's not with Bitcoin, what is your strategy for taking profits with altcoins?
Okay.
And of course, watch today's whole video. We talk Ethereum price prediction by end of year. Based on your Bitcoin forecast at the end of 2024 or cycle top, where does
Max, listen. If we ever did this on your channel, you'd be streaming for 24 hours. All right? You bastard.
That put Ethereum. Click the like button and let's start. Now, something that was super prevalent narrative-wise at the beginning of the year, several weeks ago, was the Bitcoin ETFs and their impact on the market. We're several weeks into it. What is the current impact of the Bitcoin ETFs in supply and price?
So, couple things. One, it's interesting to watch the arc of the story go from this will never happen, right? So, last June, BlackRock applies and was like, no, it'll never happen. I'm like, are you joking? BlackRock just told you it's going to happen. And so then it was like, well, when it's going to happen? Well, it's probably going to happen in that January window. I really thought it was going to happen on the King's birthday, but they waited till the 11th. So the 8th is, the King's birthday. But bottom line is, everybody's like, oh no, it's a buy the rumor, sell the news.
All right, you guys saying 1.25. If it's too much, please let me know. Damn it, didn't mean to do that. All right, let's bump this up a bit.
The buy the rumor part worked, right? We went from kind of 40,000, 38,000, pumped all the way to 48,000. And look, there was some shenanigans, shall we say, going on. There's this guy, I think it's like CC15. I should give him better credit on Twitter. He was tracking these wallets that were just every day buying. And was like, wait, the ETF hasn't been approved. Who is that? And I would argue, no knowledge, but I would argue that was probably an account associated with or affiliated with or friendly with BlackRock, Fidelity, somebody who was accumulating, because they all believed, as I do, that this is a monster development, like way bigger than people think. And the issue is we just shifted the aggregate demand curve. right? So when you have supply curve, demand curve, and you shift the aggregate demand curve, the price goes up. So fundamentally, the price is going to go up. Like, no. Look, right after they went down, I'm like, okay. So what you saw was in the short run, there was liquidations from GBTC. They were kind of offsetting the early flows. You had a bunch of the big dogs like Vanguard and UBS and Bank of America that said, no, you clients can't buy this. Really? You're going to tell me I can't spend my money on something that I want to buy?
Which sucks, right? But these are the emotions of Bitcoin. You guys don't know.
Elmo, how was that? How do you feel?
Elmo feels kind of
Boom, dead. Sold your whole bag. All right, let's get back into it. Financial failure. Thanks for being a member for 7 months. Appreciate you.
Buy Vanguard. Like literally people should, and they did leave. Now, the flip side of that is someone has to be that, staid, stodgy institution for the old folks to hold their stuff and not go after these Ponzi schemes, whatever. So not all of the capital that was captive is going to rush into ETFs all at once. So that was first. Second, some other shenanigans, very little discussed thing, Austin, was the same day, January 11th, there was a new set of futures released on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Nobody was talking about it. And if you go back at the previous two, December 17th, 2017 and November 6th, 2021, those were tops, right? Where the future allowed the big organizations to get short and push the price down. Well, that certainly happened in that first week. So you had GBTC liquidations, you had the FTX liquidation, you had the shorts coming in, and yeah, we went from 48 down to 38 and just retraced that whole period. And see, told you, total failure. Well, last time I checked, right before we got on air, it was 52 again. And that's a big move. Well, what happened? The demand curve shifted out. The demand, the amount of new demand for Bitcoin from my brethren and sisterin, right? I'm a boomer, and all the other boomers out there, they're not going to get a ledger and buy it direct. They're not.
They
right?
should,
most of them,
but they won't.
What are they going to do? Some will open a Coinbase account, like my dad, and he has a Coinbase account. He doesn't own Bitcoin then. You tell my dad he doesn't own Bitcoin, fine. But a bunch of them are going to say,
that's kind of one of those things, right? Like people are like, oh, don't hold your money on the exchange. And I understand that. You probably shouldn't, a lot of it, right? But if you're going to be like actively trading and selling, it depends which exchange you have it on, right? As long as you're somewhat secure, I think it's okay. But you don't want to hold up like too much on the exchange. You know what I mean? You don't want to hold your entire bag there. But yeah, I don't know. I think if you have a Coinbase account, that's much better holding your crypto in there versus having a spot ETF. That's just my opinion. I don't know what you guys think about that, but
hey, buy me some of that IBIT. BlackRock's, advertising this IBIT thing. Buy me some of that. And so that's going to happen. So you and I talked about this last time we were together. You said, well, what's your view of Bitcoin? I said, well, look, we're in crypto summer, and crypto summer is a period where we're going to drift slowly, series of higher highs and higher lows. So not without volatility. We're going to drift slowly toward fair value.
Facts. I think he's right. Real quick, Steve Mint said Coinbase will be too big to fail soon. To be honest, I think they're already too big to fail just because they are what is it called? Active participants, I think. Is that what it's called? Of like 11 out of 13 of the ETFs that are actually out there. And they're like the custodians or whatever. So it's, yeah, I mean, I honestly think they're already too big to fail.
Well, why is that? Well, after crypto winter, okay, and you bottom, you get crypto spring, where you just kind of bounce around the bottom and it's kind of yuck and not a lot happens. Well, then crypto summer happens where the investors come back, right? They've gotten over losing money and they come back and they're like, hey, wait, if the fair value is 52K, and I was rounding and said it's 50, but according to Tim Peterson's Metcalfe's law model, the fair value is 52. So we were at, in the 30s, we're going to drift toward that 52 number by the halving. But the caveat I said is if
already there,
and I might have said when, they crowned the king, that BlackRock was going to get crowned. Now I didn't think they'd do all 9. I actually didn't. But that's even better because that's more demand. And so as we've come closer to fair value, now we've totally completed that segment of the move. Well, now we focus on the next thing, which is the aggregate supply shift. So the halving, now it's scheduled for like April 8th. Originally it was early May, and then it was, for a few days it was 420 and everybody was freaking out. And now it looks like it's the 8th, which I think is ironic in that that's the solar eclipse date. So I think that's kind of a wild coincidence. Not planned, I don't think. But anyway, so when we have the fair value doubles. Well, no, that's not how it works. I'm like, well, no, that's exactly how it works. Because if you cut the block rewards in half of the miners would go out of business because their costs are fixed. So the price in historical halvings has doubled. Not immediately, but over time. Now, I don't know if we talk.
Takes about a year, right? 6 to 9 months or something. Close to a year, depending. I don't know. Depending on what's going to happen. But do you guys think we're going to see a new all-time high by the end of the year? I know that guy Tom Lee actually was talking about $150,000 yesterday on stream or on the news, CNBC News.
About this or not, but I've kind of changed my thinking on that. That because of ordinals, because of inscriptions, and because of transaction fees, maybe we don't double this time. Maybe we only go up 50% because we don't have to have all of the money come from block rewards. So let's say we get to 75 as fair value. And again, the model will tell us what that fair value is, but let's call it 75. Then what happens is we'll get to crypto fall, which is the June period post the halving. That's when the craziness starts to happen. That's when the FOMO happens. Then we get into Thanksgiving and everybody goes home and everybody's patting them on the back and come on in, you get 2 turkey legs this year. Whereas 2 years ago, you're not invited anymore. You're disinvited if you're a crypto person. So now we're going to get that FOMO top. And in the past, that's gone to 2.3 times fair value. So when fair value was 30,000 in the last cycle, we got to 68, 69. This time, let's say we only get 2 times because there's not as much leverage this time because they cracked down on Binance and others. So let's say we get 2 times, that'd be 150. I think that's baked in the cake. So anyway, that's a long answer to your simple question.
That's exactly
why are ETFs important. They're important. They're really important. And it's because the demand isn't going away. That demand, I'll make a big statement. I've said this a couple times on Twitter. I believe this year in 2024, which by the way is the first year of this epic, the blockchain era, the truth net, as I call it, I believe more money will be converted from fiat to Bitcoin than the previous 15 years of Bitcoin's existence.
You guys hear what he just said? The amount of money he thinks is going to be converted more from fiat to Bitcoin than there was in the past 15 years this year. Do you know how crazy that is and how true that probably is? Just thinking about the ease of purchasing, right? When it comes to purchasing Bitcoin for like the masses that are actually coming this year. It's crazy.
I think upwards of $300 billion
it's gonna be amazing.
Is going to get converted into Bitcoin.
$300 billion
this year. Big number.
That's
in
giant.
Crypto, we have these cycles. Do you think that this could be the last great Bitcoin bull run or cycle? Because after BlackRock and Fidelity, they're the biggest. Who's left?
Well, again, it's a great question, but no, because humans are going to human, right? Humans are going to push this thing well beyond fair value. And then investors are going to come in and say, okay, it's time to get short. And they're going to collapse it. And it might be governments or banks that manipulate like they did with the futures and back in 17 and 21, who knows? But the bottom line is the reason we have this 4-year cycle in crypto, it's driven by the code in Bitcoin. And the code is not going to change. Every 4 years, we're going to have a halving, which means every 4 years, there's going to be this upward pressure on price to reward the miners. That's going to draw in the speculators and ultimately the gamblers who FOMO in at the top. And then we're going to crash. And those crashes will always be worse than fair value, right? When you crash, you don't go to fair value, you go through fair value because people panic and shorts get liquidated. I'm sorry, longs get liquidated, leverage longs get liquidated, not the shorts. The shorts make money. So I do think you're right that this cycle is exacerbated by the entrance of new ways to get demand. But that's been true of every cycle, right? The first cycle, when it was a science project, suddenly you could buy it not in the back alley, literally where you had to meet somebody and you had to worry about getting hit in the back of the head with a wrench, to you could do it at Mt. Gox, right? And then that failed. And then you could do it at Coinbase or Kraken. And that not failed, but then that got dicey. And then you had this thing, GBTC. So the last cycle, people forget this, right? We went from 10,000 to 60,000 in about 4 months because GBTC got $10 billion of demand into their trust. That was what drove that cycle. Now also, you know, you had some Michael Saylor buying, and you know, you had a few others, and you had Elon's famous quote where, you know, we're not going to take it for Tesla, and it crashed. Remember, it went from February down to June, down 50% before it rallied into November when he's like, oh, I'm kidding, you can go back and buy it. So there was plenty of demand. And what's going to happen every cycle is there's going to be a new avenue for demand. So this cycle isn't the trust, GBTC, it's the ETFs. And the next cycle, maybe it'll be derivative products, or maybe it'll be the institutionalization or the Wall Streetization.
Or small countries.
And then it'll be small countries. Then one of these cycles, it's going to be central banks, right? Literally, central banks are going to say, you know, I got all this gold and it's expensive to store and it's kind of cumbersome. I could put a lot of Bitcoin right on this little phone and just put it in the vault. And I think central banks will start to buy. And then you're going to have, someone's going to come up with, well, I've been talking about this for a while, that if you think about the internet was invented in 1991. You know, Tim Berners.
Real quick, you notice how he said the phone, you could just put the Bitcoin on the phone. That's the reason I use the Tangent wallet, because I don't have to like plug this device into my computer. I feel like I don't know. It's kind of like it's not a hot wallet, but it's kind of like a warm-ish wallet, right? Where it's like, it's kind of cold storage, but it's not. I don't know. It's strange, but it's just so easy to use, and you can use it with your phone. The Ledger, having to like plug it all in and deal with that things like that. Like, I have cold storage on a Ledger, don't get me wrong. I have a lot of crypto on my Ledger, but it's just, I don't know, the ease of use for your cell phone. He makes a great point with that.
He wrote the first web page and boom, we have the internet. But it took 5 years for it to become kind of well-known and usable, because we didn't have the browser. So Mark Andreessen invents Mosaic, and then Microsoft steals the idea, which they always do, and they, you know, introduce Explorer, and boom, the internet's a thing. And then the mobile net, you know, mobile telephony wasn't invented in 2007, but this thing was released in 2007. And all the companies were like, oh, that's stupid. $500 for a phone? I'm never paying $500 for a phone. They'll have zero market share. In fact, I watched the video of the Nortel guy basically saying, no way they compete with us. Anyone have a Nortel phone? I mean, no, nobody, literally, or Motorola even. So, I mean, what happened was the iPhone was the next window, the next portal into the mobile net. So we had the internet, the mobile net. Now the truth net, I will argue, is going to be a hardware security module, right? Whether it's a Ledger or an Elipad, or maybe it's one that hasn't been invented yet, or whether, you know, they finally figure out how to make the enclave work in the phone. I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me, but someone's going to invent that. And that's going to onboard an entirely new generation of users. And so the numbers are kind of crazy when you think about it. You know, Bitcoiners, we all know each other and we all talk to each other and we all tell each other how smart we are and yay us. Infinitesimal number relative to humanity. And there's a whole bunch of people that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, this is going to be so commonplace and so ordinary. You and I won't be able to talk about this because it won't be interesting anymore. It'll just be like, I don't talk about how this actually works. I don't talk about the CDMA and the TDMA. There was a time 15 years ago, that's all we talked about. Was the CDMA going to win or TDMA going to win? And, you know, is this chip going to win or that chip going to win? You know, is 286 or 386 or the Pentium? I mean, once it becomes invisible, then it'll really start to grow. And
that's a good way to think about it. Once it becomes invisible, it'll really start to grow. And that's really the truth there, right? Like, look at Apple, for example, how crazy it was hyped up at the beginning and where it is now. Just think about it, right? Everybody talked about it. I mean, people still talk about it, but not to the extent that it was talked about when it was first out, right? When the iPhones or the I remember the iPod Touch when that came out. That was like revolutionary. It was crazy, right? It's just, I don't know. It's neat to think about like that.
If you believe, as I think I do, and you do, and others that have seen the light, this is a technological evolution that is never going backwards, right? It's just going to keep evolving and keep transforming and keep enveloping the broader world until, and I use this prop all the time, that, you know, my granddaughter, who's 1, will never have one of these. She will never have a leather wallet. She will never use paper money, ever. In her life, she will never use paper money.
And that's crazy to think about too. His granddaughter, like he's saying, will never use paper money. It'll always be just a credit card, just be digital at that point. And I think he's right.
She will only use digital money. And you go, that'll never happen. Yeah, well, and it'll seem normal 20 years from now, but it doesn't seem normal now. So
if
real quick, Fully Electric in the chat said, Tangent is cold storage. Your key and pin is only storage on the card. The card is just not air gapped, but still, even Ledger, you got to plug it in, thus still have a vulnerability connection point. And yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. I'm just not as technically smart as you. Thank you.
Like, to you and me, it's so obvious. And I'm just talking about Bitcoin this year, crypto this year.
Yep.
But there's a saying, you know, if everybody's thinking the same thing, then somebody's not thinking. Is everybody too bullish, or what's the counter narrative?
Again, great question. And you know, I say this all the time. The reason I like, you know, talking to you and doing your show is you ask great questions. You prepare, you send me the questions in advance. There's actually a lot of thought, and I can answer any question. Now, many times people say, God, he's so full of shit. I'm like, okay, fine. But I like to answer questions, but the more important skill in life is to be able to formulate great questions. And I literally tweeted that question out the other day.
That's where I got this question from in my prep.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, great minds think alike. And
he's like giving him credit, and he's like, no, I just stole it from you, actually.
When everyone is leaning the same direction, there's not a lot of thinking. And that's what I feel about passive versus active investing. Everybody's convinced that passive is the best, and they don't think about what it does to, I mean, super microcomputer, SMCI. Everybody's like, oh, look at how great this is. Like, are you joking? They make rack servers. Okay. And, oh, but they buy NVIDIA chips. Oh, yay. Okay, fine. But you still shouldn't pay 10, 15, 20 times revenues for that. But because it's capitalization weighted and it's in an index, the higher it goes up, the more that index has to buy. So the higher it goes up, so the more, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so in that regard, I think we're in a massive bubble in traditional assets because no one's thinking. It's all machines. They're not allowed to think. They're dumb. And I don't mean unintelligent. I mean rule-based, meaning they must buy things as they become expensive, which is the antithesis of value investing, actually. But it's a momentum strategy, and momentum works until it doesn't, and then explodes spectacularly. People should go back and look at, you know, MicroStrategy in 2000. It went from $1 to $330. It looks just like SMCI. And then it went down 99% because the shorts were right. Now the shorts got carried out multiple times, just like the shorts now. In fact, I think SMCI set the record for the highest relative strength. It just beat GameStop, which just means it's a short squeeze. So the point there is, in crypto, yes, all of us watching this show and together in the crypto Twitter, we're all thinking the same way. We're just a tiny little fraction, right? All the haters are still hating, right? Jamie Dimon, Elizabeth Warren, Gary Gensler. I mean, the guy has been beaten about the head and shoulders all year, lost case after case. Just give in, Gary, right? Just give in. He won't. He just keeps leading with his chin, and, you know, he keeps getting beat up. So the haters are still going to hate. And Vanguard,
eat shit, Gary,
Merrill Lynch, UBS have all said, nope, we don't recognize this as a real asset. This is not like stocks, bonds, and cash. No, it's not. It's actually better, right? That's why you need it in your portfolio, because it increases the Sharpe ratio of a diversified portfolio. So
when are we going to get Elizabeth Warren out? Because she's awful.
I am cognizant that even if it's just a small group, if literally everybody is thinking the same way, bad things can happen. But the difference now is there's so little external interest. You know, searches for Bitcoin, not very high. People coming to you or me that, you know, we haven't talked to for a year saying, hey, how do I buy Bitcoin again? That's not really happening yet. It's starting on the edges, but it's You look at the greed fear index, we're not really in crazy greed yet. Now, Bitcoin yesterday was really overbought. We had a shooting star pattern, which short term is not very good. So I'm nervous short term. And there's one more test coming mid-March to early April. There will be a selling wave where everybody realizes how much they owe Uncle Sam in taxes. And kind of the other thing we didn't talk about was part of the sell pressure around the ETF launch was Lunar New Year. And this happens every single year, right before Lunar New Year. The Chinese need to sell some to fill up their red envelopes with cash. That's what they...
We were talking about this, actually. Mr. Crypto Frank brought this up on a Saturday Night Live, actually. The Lunar New Year, I guess that's what it's called. The Chinese event where they gift money, basically.
They do. And that's their tradition. And every year there's a selling wave right before that. And then we bounce up. And then there's the selling wave going into tax season. And then we bounce up and we have a good summer.
That's so true, actually.
And good fall. But
makes total sense.
I think this selling wave could be big, right? Not only were profits huge last year. Okay, so there's a lot of people that owe some taxes because there was a lot of trading. It's now the fifth question on the 1040 form. Like literally, what's your name? What's your address? What's your security number? I don't remember the fourth question, maybe your birthday. And do you own crypto? Like, really? Really? I mean, okay. So they can protest that, oh, we don't care about crypto. We hate crypto. But if you own it, we want to tax you on it. Well, that's actually the definition of money, right? Definition of money is something you can pay your taxes with. Now, they won't let us pay our taxes with yet, but the fact that they want us to pay taxes on those gains is clear legitimization of the asset.
In 2021, besides Bitcoin, obviously play to earn, NFTs, huge trends in crypto in general. Yep. Like, what are you seeing as trends for this cycle? For example, L1s, L2s, real world assets. What are you seeing?
Yeah. So look, L1s are back, clearly. I mean, I got in a lot of trouble when we did the show last summer, when I said, Solana vaporized transactions, and everybody freaked out. I mean, they were like mad at me. They're like, and they're like, we never rolled back the blockchain. I didn't say you rolled back the blockchain. I just said, look, people sent transactions, the network went down, those transactions vanished. Maybe would have been a better word than vaporized, but okay.
Solana had a rough go the last couple of years.
And it was funny. Most people were just like, you're an idiot. We hate you.
It's getting better, though.
There's one guy from the Netherlands DM'd me and said, hey, I want to show you that we fixed this stuff. So we had a very nice session and we went through it. And what's his handle? Something Pirate, Happy Pirate, something like that. And he even gave me markusko.sol he bought for me and showed me how to send USDC for nothing. Like, okay, so that's all great, but we still have this problem. And so I jokingly said, if you go back to that date, which was September 9th, when I changed my mind, we've been straight up since, right? Went from $10 to $110. So I'm taking full credit. Ha ha ha. Now, I have this other guy who's tweeting at me every day saying, it's all scam market. They're pumping the numbers up and there's a bunch of market makers and then the network went down again. Yeah, the network went down again. So I'm still not 100% convinced. So come at me, Solana guys. I'm not 100% convinced that you fix everything. And I do worry that if one person can turn off the network temporarily, that's not really decentralized, is it? I mean, that's
yeah, it's kind of sketchy.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I hate it. And it doesn't mean, I haven't sold the rest. I told people very bluntly, it was our best investment ever. And we sold most of it, but we still owned about 20%. Haven't sold that. Just like Coinbase, we didn't sell all of it. And I'm really happy because today they busted earnings wide open. So I think L1s, so that's to answer your question, L1s for sure. Now, I say that because I like what they're doing at Avalanche. And I love John Woo. He's a buddy. And I think, Gun's a genius. And I like that. And I think there's some interesting things going on at Cosmos. And I think there's some other, but I still struggle. Again, we've talked about this with the mental models, right? If we're just going to replicate the internet where there are 5 protocols and it's a stack, Bitcoin is the base layer like TCP/IP and Filecoin like FTP and Ethereum like www. I struggle with what's SMTP and what's HTTP. I don't know, Polkadot, Cosmos, Solana. I don't know. That one.
For the record, this is 1.25 times the speed. It's not normal speed.
So it kind of works, kind of doesn't. If it's the Lord of the Rings, one chain to rule all chains, it's all Bitcoin, everything else doesn't matter, it has to be proof of work. And then there's Lightning and L3s and L4s, which don't exist yet, so hurry up and create them. Maybe. Then there's the lots of L1s and bridging. And everybody's like, oh, see, Mark, you're making the case for Chainlink. Okay. I mean, not intentionally, but okay. If you tell me Chainlink is robust and doesn't have attack surfaces, and I mean, price is going up, but I worry that those attack vectors are not robust enough yet to make that world work. A multi L1 world seems logical to me. Now, I can still make the case that if I have a really valuable asset, I'm putting it on Bitcoin. Right? If I have a really valuable digital asset, I want it on the safest, most secure, most robust chain, and proof of work, to me personally, is the only one that works for that. But not everyone has to agree with that. So then the second thing is real world assets, tokenizing real world assets. Absolutely. And how hilarious. And I tweeted this out, but and I don't really believe he did this. I don't think he actually saw my video, but Larry Fink has been on TV multiple times now talking about, every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, it's all gonna be tokenized. I'm like, here's my video where I said those exact words. So, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Now, most powerful man in asset management, give a shit about me. So I'm not saying he copied me, but I've been saying that for a long time. I've been saying that since 2017. And I believe it. Now, there've been lots of reasons why it hasn't happened yet. And we still have lots of problems. Like if I take a piece of land and I quote unquote put it on the blockchain, the land is still where I left it. And I still have to have somebody observe it, or maybe I have to put sensors around it to make sure that it didn't get flooded, or if there was a building on it, that the building didn't fall down. But in terms of solid provenance and ownership and title, blockchain's way better than the database. Contrary to Gary, like it's no different than an Oracle database. Bitcoin, no different. Are you freaking kidding me, Gary? Really? You want to make the case that an Oracle database is as secure as a decentralized proof of work blockchain? Even proof of stake is better than Oracle database. Maybe not very much different, but come on. Anyway.
As you mentioned this before, but your Bitcoin forecast for this year is double fair value after the halving, which fair value is 50. Maybe you only get 50% of that. So that would be at least 75, 80, and then a blow off top in crypto winter. For that, if that's accurate.
Well, crypto fall, before crypto winter.
Crypto fall. Yeah. What is your profit taking strategy? And even if it's not with Bitcoin, what is your strategy for taking profits with altcoins?
Okay. Oh, I'm glad you added that last word, with altcoins. So here's the thing. I'm a venture capitalist. That's my day job. And so in our funds, we own assets, mostly equity, but 30% liquid protocols. And we buy them and we hold them. We don't trade them. And there are people that do that really well, but that's not us. Now, those funds have a finite life. So my first fund, raised in 2018, is coming up on the end of its life. So in this cycle, we will likely take profits, as we get towards crypto winter, June of 25, sometime between.
Right. So like what he's saying right now is, or I just want to elaborate a little bit on like when you're getting into altcoins, right? It's either you're going to actively trade them, right? Or you're going to kind of do what he does, is purchase it and have a game plan on when to get out. You always need to have some sort of game plan, so you guys are taking profits, not just holding to, $1 million and then to a zero. That's just be careful, right? Some altcoins are different. Yes, they'll have a little bit more legs behind them and they'll go a bit further, but just have a game plan. Don't just like hold everything or trade everything. There's certain things you should do, and just whatever's right for you is right for you, right? But his case, I guess they're buying, they're not going to trade, but they're also going to take profits at their certain point,
between January and June of 25. So in our second fund, where we've got a little longer, we probably won't. In our third fund, where we're just starting, we definitely. And our fourth fund, which we're raising, clearly we haven't even bought anything yet.
All about the game plan.
That's how I think about it from that standpoint. Now, from a trading perspective, I think right now you don't need to really trade because we're here about to go here. So I just want to keep accumulating and be long.
You know what? That was kind of DJ's point last night, actually. That was literally DJ's point last night. Just accumulate and sell, when we get here. And that's, 2025 or depending on where things are going to be, right? Could be the end of this year.
Do I believe that, Bitcoin will move X, Ethereum probably moves 1.3X, 1.4X. The others move 1.5 to 1.8X to 2X. And some of the alts are going to move 10, 20. The problem, as you get further down the stack, the upside potential is higher, but the downside potential is you lose everything. Like literally, if you think about what most utility tokens are, they are gambling vehicles. And that's not necessarily a negative. I mean,
yeah, it's not
they
a
are
bad
what they
thing,
are
but
because you don't own
wrong.
equity, you don't own debt, you don't own share cash flows. They are literally just given value because other people buy them. You know, take the Doge coins or the Pepe coins. There is no.
It's unfortunate, but that's what the market is. You're selling it at what somebody's willing to buy it for. That's what crypto is, unfortunately, but that's how it works.
Utility at this point. Now, if Elon makes Doge a payment rail,
that's different.
Okay, but he hasn't done that yet. So in those cases, the problem is they're like pre-seed stage venture. The upside potential is huge, right? If you invest in something at fractions of a penny and it goes to $1, you've made a lot of money.
That's why people say don't invest more than you can afford to lose. Because like if it goes to 0, oh well. But like if it doesn't, then shit, you're happy, you know? So you just got to be careful.
But 97, 98, 99% of pre-seed stage venture capital deals go to 0. Even if they get big market caps in the short term, they just never catch on and they go to 0. So I bet if you look back in history, the very vast majority of these projects, there's a whole bunch of them that go to 0, and that's fine. As long as you don't rifle shoot. If you rifle shoot and you put all your wealth in a single altcoin, that seems like a bad strategy to me. Now, if you're right, and that's one that goes up,
diversification is key,
not down, you get rich. And Gary Cardone and I talked, and he was talking about this, and he said, somebody came back at him and said, no, you're talking about being concentrated. We need to be diversified. I'm like, well, look, all great wealth comes from concentration. Every great fortune came from a concentrated position in stock, in business, in real estate, in a commodity, whatever. The problem is you don't hear about the losers, right? You don't hear about the 99 companies that started in a garage that aren't Apple. But there were 99 other companies and they went to 0, but Apple became gigantic. And so history is written by the winners. And so if the caveat is you have to be concentrated and right. Because if you're concentrated and wrong, you lose all your money, you get poor. So concentrated portfolios make you rich. Diversified portfolios keep you rich. Now, for the first part of my career, first 30 years of my career, I was in the stay rich business. Not that I was rich, but my clients and my employers were rich. And so my job was to keep them rich through diversification. Now, my view of diversification is a whole bunch of it widely diversified, stay rich, but I'm always going to have this bucket of investing in innovation. That's my pinned tweet. And that's where we've made the most money and how we outperformed other stay rich buckets because we had this little get rich bucket that did okay because we invested in Sequoia and Kleiner and, Peter Thiel and et cetera.
Calculated risks.
I would say if you're thinking about investing in alts, one, scattershot, have a bunch of them, ride the winners. And then the question about, well, what do you do? There is going to be another cycle. There will be another crypto winter, as sure as we're going to have an eclipse on April 8th. There's no way to stop it, right? It's going to go dark.
He's not wrong.
Actually, this freaked me out a little bit. So there was an eclipse in 2017, and the path went over 9 towns called, oh crap, now I'm gonna forget. Hold on. I got to get this right. This is crazy.
I need to know. I need to know.
No, this is crazy stuff. What did I do with it?
If somebody knows down in the comment section, please comment.
Real quick, Luke says, agree with selling alts, but Kaspa does not fall into this category. It's the exception.
We're going to go over 7 towns named Salem, which is short for Jerusalem, right? And
I personally think Kaspa does have still a bit to push, right? Again, we're going to see it all mined out in a couple years, right? If I'm not mistaken. So during our lifetime, unlike Bitcoin, where it's not going to be completely mined out. Yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's so fast. There's just so much shit behind Kaspa that just seems possible to shoot way higher than it already is. And the issue with I guess somebody else said Litecoin. Litecoin is undervalued, and it is. Litecoin's definitely undervalued. The coins that are in the top 10, top 15 already, those ones are going to be real hard, get rich bags, right? Unless you already have a shit ton of it. The coins that are 20th and above, yeah, you have a decent chance, but where the real giant gains are out of the top 100, to be honest. That's just how it is. But I mean, you could still gain a shit ton off of, coins in 20 and above also.
And
I don't know what this guy's doing. He's looking for some shit.
So in 2017,
and exactly, Carl, you're right. Past results don't predict future results.
Oh, give me the name 100%. Of the town.
Oh boy.
No rush. Take your time.
So
I'm gonna scoot forward.
We're gonna have a winter. As sure as the sun is going to blot out, from the sky when the moon goes across it, and they can't stop it. There's going to be another winter. So if I were trading, which I'm not a trader, I'm an investor, so I buy and I hold, and I'll weather the storms. But if I were a trader, I would ride through, mid-year 25. I think supply-demand imbalances are going to be really robust. I think the technology that gets adopted, and this is where they're in the alt space. There are a couple ways to approach it. So one is scattershot the things that are moving and just, let them run, sell the losers fast. Because if you think about the great investors of all time or the great traders of all time, like Paul Tudor Jones, there's a picture of him in his dorm room at UVA, and he has this sign above his desk, losers average losers. And in trading, that's absolutely true. In investing, it's not 100% true, but in trading, never, ever chase a loser. Just sell. Just move on to the next idea. But the corollary to that is winners press winners. The hardest thing to do in trading is to press your winners. And, I was very lucky in my life, in my career. I've had a lot
press as in like the craps table when you like press your bets.
Great mentors. And one was Julian Roberts, one of the greatest investors of all time. And I talked to lots of people that work for Julian, and they all said the same thing. Three things. One, most person of the highest integrity they've ever met. Like literally just never fudged the numbers. Two, most competitive person they've ever met. I mean, just wants to win. There's the question, do you like to win or do you hate to lose? You love to win, hate to lose, and it matters which one you pick. He liked to win. And the third is they said he had an uncanny ability to double up. So he would press his winners. And then at some point, he would certainly take profits. And I think for me, I'm more of a, there's a guy I follow on Twitter, and we're Twitter friends, which I had a lot of friends from Twitter over the years, Larry Tentarelli. And Larry, he's not an investor by training. I mean, he had a different career, but he became a trader, and he's all about technicals and momentum. But he's religious about it and disciplined about it. And one of the things I love, he says, is nothing good happens below the 200-day moving average, right? And the trend will continue in the direction of where you are relative to the 200-day. So, look at NVIDIA right now, right? Everybody's wishing something bad would happen. Well, it's way above the 200-day. The trend is your friend, and don't try to go against it. He says there will come a day where the 20-day crosses the 50 and you'll get a sell signal. And then the 50 will cross the 200 and you should be out. And so there are disciplined ways to just say, you know what? I'm wrong.
Trend is your friend until the end. That's what Crypto Zombie always says, right?
Everyone else is right, and I'm just going to move to the sideline.
He's a trader.
But again, that's a long-winded way of saying I'd probably, why fight that? If it goes back up, then buy it again. You can always buy it back.
Mark, two final questions. This first one is about macro. When the Federal Reserve inevitably cuts rates, what will that look like? Will it be because they're about to break the economy? Will the housing market crash? Will things be good because rates are lower? What do you think?
Really good question, really important question. The Fed, with respect to rates, is reactive, right? They're not proactive. So they react to the economy, both positive and negatively. So when the economy's ripping and inflation's starting to turn up and growth is high, they'll start to rein back in the liquidity. They'll raise rates and try to slow down the car so it doesn't careen off the edge. And inevitably, that's when they break things because they go too far, right? Because they are reactive. And because they drive in the rearview mirror. And so when you're driving in the rearview mirror and the road turns, you go off the edge of the cliff. So the same thing is true on cutting, is they'll wait too long. The economy will have already slowed. I mean, there are a lot of indicators that say things have slowed. I mean, Japan's in technical recession, Europe's in technical recession. Now we're in this great expansion. Well, kinda. I mean, we spent $1 trillion in deficit to get 300 billion in growth in the fourth quarter. That seems like a bad trade, right? I should at least get 1-to-1. If I spend $1 trillion, I should get $1 trillion. But there's slippage now because we're so highly levered and there's a lot of interest costs. So I think this cut in rates will be like all previous cuts in rates. It'll be because they perceive that things are getting worse, not better. you don't cut rates when you think things are good. In fact, I say this all the time. If you look around the world, high rates are a sign of economic strength. Low rates are a sign of economic weakness, right? If you go back to the global financial crisis, what did everybody do to rates? They cut them to zero or even negative. So if you have negative interest rates, you are not confident about the future, right? If you're trying to force people to buy instead of save their money because you're penalizing them for putting it in the bank, you're trying to propel the economy out of the doldrums. Conversely, if rates are high, like in India, you look over the last 20 years, India has been the best performing market in the world by far, like way better than the US. It's not close, actually. And you say, but India's a third world country. Yep, it is. By and large, they got some first world parts, but yeah, it's got its challenges. But their stock market is the best performing market in the world over 23 years. And it's because, right, they have good demographics, they have great rule of law, they have some really smart entrepreneurs, and they have some really robust companies. But they also have high rates. They also have a young population, and young populations tend to have higher inflation, which demands higher rates. Old demographics, Europe, Japan, US, ultimately China, have the opposite. You need lower rates. And Chinese rates just hit a new low, not because they are trying to stimulate, I mean, they're trying to stimulate the economy, but the rates hit because people are looking at the demographic wave that's coming. Now, I think the thing they're missing is that'll actually be a really good thing for China, believe it or not, because they have a massive baby boom that no one talks about. All they talk about is the baby bust, which is real. But as the really old population starts to decline, this 300 million cohort of millennials, they have 5 times as many millennials as the United States, is going to rise. And that's going to be very interesting because they won't have the same type of entitlement problem that we do. Whereas as me and all my brethren and sisters start to retire, your generation is going to have to pay us because of Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, which nobody wants to cut, even though life expectancies are longer and all this good stuff. But I think that's an interesting dynamic that nobody wants to talk about. But bottom line is rates will likely get cut, probably not anytime soon, although it is an election year. So watch out for gerrymandering as we come into the election, because right now the Dems look like they're going to get wiped out, but they're going to do everything, including trying to get Taylor Swift to endorse the president, which I think would be hilarious, but we'll see.
It's all programmed, says
right.
some. Hey, final question. This one's just for fun. Based on your Bitcoin forecast at the end of 2024 or cycle top, where does that put Ethereum? What's your forecast at cycle top?
Yeah,
or
this
end of
one's
year?
hard for me because I can make the case that, you know, Bitcoin won the race to be money, right? It is the perfect money. It's digital gold. And I know there are people on the East side that say, no, we're money too. I'm like, not really. And I don't think you can be money using proof of stake, but that's just my own personal opinion. So I do think that Ethereum has the potential to be the world computer, right? This giant networked computer, which everyone else builds stuff on. Now you got to fix gas fees, and they're working on that. And so I probably have no reason to go against what has existed for a long time, which is the ratio between Bitcoin and Ethereum. You know, it used to be almost exactly 10 to 1. So if
you really think, Elliot, really Ethereum easy 20K? That's crazy. I'd be shocked.
If Bitcoin,
I apologize. Yeah, bathroom break.
was 20,000, Ethereum would be 1,000. No, it's 10 to 1, 20,000 and 2,000. And that changed a little bit in the last cycle. So now we're, whatever, 52 over 28. What is that? Should be able to do that in my head, but I can't. That's 1.8. So that's a little bit higher. So in that regard, I could see a bigger rally in Ethereum than Bitcoin. And that's kind of what you would expect in the pump part, in the final meteoric parabolic move. Ethereum has historically outperformed Bitcoin, and it probably should again. So let's say Bitcoin gets to 150, like I think it will. And let's say we don't go all the way back to 10 to 1, but we go to, you know, we're at 1.8 now. Let's say we get down to 1.5. It's probably not aggressive enough, but let's say it's 1.5. So that's 10,000. I think there are a lot of people that have that number in their brain and a lot of people say, well, that's not enough. Like, fine. Let's say it gets all the way back to 10 to 1. Then that'd be 15,000. So comfortable.
Real quick, the one who said, ain't no damn way ETH to 20K. He said, maybe if the devs didn't screw the miners over, that whole thing. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, I mean, they wanted to go proof of stake from the beginning, right? Yeah, 20K is a lot. 20K is a lot. I think it'll hit 5 figures. I think that'll happen.
Somewhere between 10 and 15. Here's the funny thing. I'm sure you've done the test.
And he just
it's
said
like
10 and
a
15.
cognition, not a cognition,
Neat.
It's the Kahneman-Tversky thing where they ask you within 99.999% accuracy, give me the range for X. And they give you a bunch of stuff. The length of the Nile River, the distance to the moon. And the right answer for every question is 0 and infinity. Because then you would be 99.999% right. But the human can't do that. So we'll say, oh, the Nile River, oh, it's between 180 miles and 1,400 miles. And the answer is like 5,000 miles, some crazy thing. Like, why would you do that? Just say 0 and infinity, but the human can't do that. So I should just say 0 and infinity, but I'll say somewhere between 10 and 15, depending on how aggressive we get on that ratio.
Mark.
All right, I'm going to end it there. 10 and 15, depending on where we get. What do you guys think about that? Pretty interesting. All right, let's see. Dreams Tank TV. Shout out to Altcoin Daily, by the way, for that video. Let's see. He said Dream Tanks TV. 30K ETH will be the top this cycle. Vitalik Buterin said that in 2022. Interesting. I think we'll probably get to 10, at least 10. That would be my guesstimate. We've seen what was the highest all-time high Ethereum? Let's see. Let's go. It was the 45 or something. It was 45. Let's see. What was it at? 48. Jeez, 48. We're still down 40% from the all-time high. I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities, especially with ETF catalyst, right? If people are projecting Bitcoin to $150,000 roughly, right? By the end of this year, roughly. I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen. 2025 probably will happen. I don't see why this couldn't get to a $10,000 coin. There's no reason it can't, right? I mean, it's constantly breaking all-time highs, right? And look at this chart. This is confidence. Like it's literally confident. It continuously goes up and up and up, and that's it. You know, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. We're gonna be raiding Miss Randy Hipper in a few minutes. Let's see, what's the market cap actually of Ethereum? It's only 354 billion. I mean, I say only, it's a shit ton of money, but at the end of the day, that's really not that much, right? There's what, 8 billion people in the world? It's there's a lot of money out there, man. There's a lot of money out there to be sent into something along these lines. It's just I don't see why it wouldn't happen, why we wouldn't get to 5 figures, to be honest, at least at some point. Kaspa's doing good, ranked 27th still, almost 17 cents again. Nice, not too bad. All right, so Kaspa, by the way, which is, again, what was it, 2037, I think Fully Electric said, if I'm not mistaken, that Kaspa is going to be fully mined out. Let's see real quick. Where did Kaspa list at? Because this is something I want to kind of, I don't know if I can put a video together today, but we'll see. All right, so it was like 2/100ths of a penny. Is that what that is? Right, 3 zeros and then a 2. And we were talking about Trade Ogre. Hold on, that new coin, right? Verify I'm a human. No, I'm not a human. I'm a robot. Let's see. This coin, right? This coin. All right, so this coin listed higher than Kaspa did, actually. This is the coin we were talking about. This is the one that's more profitable, according to hashrate.no, on any of the KS miners, Kaspa miners, right? KS3, 2, 1, KSL, KSM. This thing's killing it. $192 in revenue. Freaking nuts. Nuts. And according to mine, the ASIC, again, $109 for this unit. So, man, I don't know what's going on with these ads on this site. It's killing me. I can't believe that virus gave me earlier, but if anybody's heard of this coal engine P2, whatever the hell this is, let me know, because that's the first time I've ever seen that. I think I could be wrong, but first time I noticed it was today, and my computer crashed as soon as I clicked on it. Let's see. Lithium, 1400. Actually, you know what? Let's see. Let's check out lithium. Lithium's been killing it. Lithium's been killing it. And you know what I noticed about lithium, actually? The market cap is stupid low. 215 million is peanuts. That is absolute peanuts for where this could be. This could be huge. This could pump a lot. It's at $3. I mean, let's look at the year. Look at this, right? I mean, realistically, they just kind of floated along the entire year until what, November-ish, right? And then we started seeing a pump, and this shit's been on a tear since, right? I guess with the hype of the FPGAs and possible ASICs and things like that. 2 days ago we had an all-time high of $3.56. If you look at, all right, so like looking at this market cap, right, 215 million. Again, if we go back over to Kaspa is over here looking at a 3.8 billion. Okay, so 258 million to 3.8 billion. Just let that sink in for a minute. If a lithium even got to 1 billion, that's a 5x from where it's at, or close to a 5x, right? Why wouldn't that be possible? It's just, I don't know. It's kind of crazy to think about. The market cap of lithium is really low. I mean, not that I don't really care for lithium, to be honest, personally. I mean, I'm pumped that we can mine something that's stupid profitable now, which is cool. It does seem to transact stupid fast, but my ignorance towards that coin, I don't know enough about it, right? So I definitely need to do some more research on a lithium itself. But just comparing the two market caps, like I don't know. It's kind of crazy thinking about it, right? Or 215, not 258. I see 258. Anyways, but to get to $1 billion, I mean, it's a 5x, right? 5x would be $15. Like, I mean, why wouldn't that be possible? So I mean, a lithium's definitely a good hold, in my opinion. That's my opinion, again, not financial advice, but it is what it is. Yeah, a lithium is about as fast as Solana. What's Solana's at $100, right? Solana's at $100, if I'm not mistaken. 102.59. Let's see. The all-time high on Solana was 259. Not too bad. Over 2 years ago. All-time low is 50 cents. Interesting. We're definitely not going to get to that market cap with a lithium, but I don't think so. Nvidia's up $35. Nice. Lithium with the market cap of Kaspa, it would be $53. You know, what is that? Is the market cap of? Is that the site? Is that the site? It is the site. All right, so we do it live. So this site's actually kind of cool, right? We look at the, I don't think it's going to get to the Kaspa like, you know, market cap. It could, who knows, but $53. Yeah, you're right. 17.70x. That's crazy. That really is crazy. I don't know if it'll get that much hype though. Do you think a lithium will actually get that much hype? I doubt it. Maybe even if it's a freaking fourth of what Kaspa's at, that's still a crazy X, right? Still a crazy X. So whatever, is what it is. Compared to Sol, all right, let's see. It's Solana, dude. It would be it's gonna be outrageous. No way. That'd be amazing. 208%, $626. Actually, let me zoom this in. You guys see it better? Sorry, I apologize. Didn't realize it was that small on screen. We have, all right, yeah, that's that. $626. You imagine? Oh my god, could you imagine? What other coin should we compare it against? What's Honey at, actually? I don't even know. It's worse. Oh no, yeah, it is worse. It's worse in the red. Honey's actually one of those coins that I hope is gonna do well. What am I doing? Yeah, but again, Kaspa, I mean, I don't know if it's gonna get to the hype of Kaspa, but we'll see. Why is that not? Oh, I had to click on it. Weird. Oh, let's see. P2 appears to be an FPGA. Oh, is it? Okay, nice. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, guys, that's gonna do it. I got shit to do, and we got Miss Teen Crypto going live in about 5 minutes, so we're gonna go raid her. I appreciate all you guys for hanging out with me today on the Daily Grind. If you could, please hit that like button, because I don't want to see Max.
You guys don't get to 100 likes. I'm going to show you my cleavage.
You know how he gets. He's no filter. So it's just going to be shirtless on Saturday Night Live. You guys don't get it. Appreciate you all. You guys have a good day. I'm going to leave you with this, and I will catch you guys bright and early tomorrow morning on the Daily Grind. Peace.
I wanna hold until I can't no more.
shit, Gary.
Happy Friday, everybody. I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Let's raid Miss Randy Hipper right now. Peace, peace.
Eat shit, Gary.